How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have a no cool call, so I'm gonna run out there and see what I can find. Let's do some work. This video is brought to you by RLS, original, patented, proven. Diversitech, helping you simplify your work. And by Infocon, providing accurate and reliable tools to HVACR technicians.
Fifteen minutes later.
Our parts are problem on these like everything else in the world these days.
So the unit fired up, it was running, and then I noticed we started getting some flooding back. The suction line was starting to freeze over. So I checked the blower and the blower was not running. I've been letting it sit here for a few minutes while talking to the customer, and now it's running. So obviously we got a module that's just going bad. We got to get that swapped out as well. But this thing needs a healthy dose of cleaning. Definitely got some work ahead of me. All right, so that turned out to be completely different than I anticipated to begin with. Cleaning that coil actually didn't really change much at all. Once that blower kicked back on and I rechecked the charge just to see how things were doing, it's crazy how dirty that coil looked, but it didn't really affect the performance or, the vitals as much as I thought it was going to. We dropped a little bit on the head pressure, but that was pretty much it as far as that goes. So, and it makes sense because the customer originally said that the unit was turning on and off, shutting on and off. So when I tested it, everything turned on and it stayed running. So I didn't even think anything about it. I just went directly into that condenser coil being dirty, that being the problem. So I just cleaned it. And when I fired it back on, that's when I noticed the blower did not turn on and it was doing its cycling on low pressure switch. So, and while standing there talking to the customer, going over details, getting information from Trane on replacement parts, it just randomly just kicked on. So I told them to put the fan into the on position so that way it won't shut off, because I'm thinking hopefully it's only a startup issue with that module. So if it stays running, hopefully it'll stay running and until I get back to replace that motor, because it's going to take a couple days to get that motor in from Trane. So they don't have it in stock. They're thinking it'll be in tomorrow, but I never go with that. I always give myself at least one more day of grace, especially talking to the customer. You don't want to tell them, I'll be here tomorrow, and then the motor doesn't show up. Anyway, so that just goes, that goes to show you that when you're troubleshooting and going through these services, you really got to keep an open mind. To be honest, I had a little bit of a closed mind thinking, oh, dirty coil, that's the problem. Of course, I was wanting to check it once everything was clean to see what the differences were, pressure-wise and all that. And then I would have probably noticed, nothing's really changed, so something else must be going on. But I didn't even have to do that because it showed its face. But it's still a good lesson to be learned that when you're going into these, troubleshooting situations, you got to keep an open mind, really think about and pay attention to what the customer is telling you. Sometimes they may be, they tell you a bunch of crazy stuff, but just pay attention because it could be very helpful in your troubleshooting process. So anyway, I'm just glad that it showed its face. The motor started acting up to where we can, pinpoint the problem. So obviously this unit was super dirty. It needed a cleaning anyway. It's been neglected for probably a lot of years. So when I come back to replace that blower motor, I'm going to, obviously I got to I got to clean the blower housing. I always clean the wheel. I do all of that at the same time. But the whole burner assembly is pretty bad too. I'm not going to go through the trouble of, removing the blower, removing the burner assembly and doing all that. But I am going to vacuum all that stuff out, wipe it all down, just, get it somewhat clean. And then we already talked about getting them set up on a biannual maintenance program. So that way it's already booked, it's on the schedule, and the unit will stay clean going forward. So, but that's going to complete today's video. Hopefully you got something out of this whole process, me cleaning. I'll definitely film coming back whenever I do get that motor, getting that swapped out, and just doing a final check and making sure everything is, looking good and they're going to be good for the rest of the summer. And then I'll be back in the fall to do a heating maintenance on the gas side. So anyway, really appreciate you watching the videos, taking the time out of your life. I hope you enjoy them. You're getting something out of them. There's some value for you. And I'll make sure I film on the next one. But until then, see you later.